Boy, has this been a week. It has been one of the most drama-riddled weeks I have ever seen on this platform. And it feels like as the week passes, more and more people are becoming absolutely brain dead, as a lot of people who shouldn't have a voice on certain subjects do, and they happen to be the loudest for some reason. And I say this because of the moistCr1TiKal versus Sneako fight that has taken over the internet as of the past couple of days. This drama has brought out some of the worst people on the internet. Like, I'm not even joking. I have seen more hate over the last 2 days over this drama than I have ever seen in my life. A lot of these people really need to get their hard drives checked, and a lot of them have been trying to gaslight you. I'm not joking about that either. For those of you who do not know, somehow there's been this massive fight going on online between moistCr1TiKal and Sneako. They've had a beef for as long as I can remember. We all remember the clips not mags thing. It was the biggest debate when that happened as well. But now we got a round two. Like all things this week, for some reason, this started with the Tyson allegations, which seems to be the tree that just spawns drama. And I kid you not, the way this beef was started was simply because Charlie apparently did not report on the Tyson allegations fast enough. Which, by the way, Charlie was one of the first people to report on this. He was like 6 hours into the allegations. Charlie was on stream talking about it.
I'll probably talk about the Ava stuff now. It's been 10 minutes, so I'll probably get asked like 4,500 more times over the next hour or so, but hopefully now there'll be a timestamp here that people will refuse to rewind to and still inundate me with questions asking the same fucking thing over and over again and saying I'm ignoring it. Yeah, so I went through a lot of the Ava stuff. It's definitely not looking good. So I saw quite a few of the messages, and then one of the, like the main person being talked about came forward saying they weren't groomed and that it wasn't weird.
The issue here is that Sneako has a massive Twitter following for some reason. I'm not actually sure why. A lot of those people that follow Sneako are diehard Sneako fans as well. And Sneako, being on Rumble and live streaming 24/7, will have these dudes clip Sneako continuously, actually, because that gives him the opportunity to live react to anything that happens. So he is going to be 100 times quicker to anything that happens on Twitter because the guy's chronically online, despite the fact that he would like you to not believe that. So Sneako, during the entire Tyson thing, which spanned about probably like the last week and a half, came after every single major influencer for not speaking out about this.
Satan runs the industry and Pokemon is proof.
He caught a lot of people. He caught a lot of people with their pants down. I'm not gonna lie. Hassan, for instance, did not really talk about this. Ludwig is only now starting to talk about this. Pokemon, Valkyrie, all the big Twitch names, they really didn't talk about it either. But he got into a little bit of a shitstorm because then he brought up Charlie. Sneako's ego, by the way, completely took over during this point in time as well, because he started saying that he was right about literally everything, including the fact that the industry is satanic and everyone that is one of the big Twitch streamers is a Satan worshipping child lover. I'm not joking either. That's like an actual tweet the dude made. And people just started running with it. I don't know what the hell Twitter was smoking that day, but they just went with it. When Charlie finally posted his first video on the subject, it wasn't enough because it was on his second channel and it was a stream clip.
Yo, look out, moistCr1TiKal is not gonna go talk about the Chris situation because he wants to have the Mr. Beast collab. Bro, you're gonna talk about every other trending situation, Dr. Disrespect, Sneako, anything that goes viral goes on your main channel. Chris, the associate of the biggest YouTube channel in the world, you do a 4-minute clip on your second channel. Stop coping and be a journalist if you're gonna be a journalist, or just say that you wanna have the collab. Stop lying.
For some reason, for Sneako, that meant nothing. Apparently that means, oh, he didn't actually talk about it. It's not big enough to go on his first channel and it's gonna not even blow up. The video on release, by the way, on his second channel had 400,000 views within like the first hour. It was a ridiculously massive video. Charlie, even in the stream, said that he was going to make a video about this, like a full-on dedicated video, which I don't even know why Sneako decided that that was going to be a point against Charlie. Sneako's entire career is built off of stream clips. Why is this a big issue for you? And it's mainly because Sneako is trying to bait Charlie into looking bad because he has a massive vendetta against Charlie, which you can very much tell by the way the dude talks, trust me. He can say he has no hate in his heart or whatever. The dude's a fucking liar. This led to Sneako calling Charlie a coward and saying that he doesn't want to lose the Mr. Beast connection, because if you don't know, Charlie ended up in a Mr. Beast video that was recorded like 6 months ago, where he brought all 50 big top creators into a competition. So now he thinks that Charlie is best buddies with Mr. Beast for some reason, and that's why he's not going to cover the Chris Tyson allegations, even though he very much did. Then after this, Charlie released this video here talking about the Chris Tyson situation. It's a 22-minute video, and it has a lot of interesting in it, because Charlie not only goes over all the Chris Tyson stuff, which, obviously is pretty fucking bad, right? It's clearly very bad. We all know what happened with Chris Tyson. We all know the implications with Mr. Beast at this point. Everything awful. Awful, 100%. But the later half of the video talks about the massive hate mob that Charlie got online from Sneako.
So this whole situation is obviously horrible. And there's a little bit more I want to talk about here. And it's something I didn't even think I'd ever need to talk about, but I guess we've reached this point in the internet where this is necessary. I've been being attacked on Twitter, just fucking dogpiled, about my ignoring the situation and refusing to speak on it, being too much of a coward to talk about all this. And the main person who started this lightning rod of accusations about me ducking it and refusing to address it is fucking Sneako of all people.
Because Sneako has been going schizophrenic on Twitter for some reason. He's trying to call everyone out. His ego was massively inflated because he has a bunch of meat writers quote retweeting him saying, "Is he right about literally everything? Or is the industry satanic and after him?" How the fuck are we supposed to argue with these? Most notably, the biggest meat writer on the internet right now is Volo, this Twitter account. If you go through this dude's Twitter, you will find nothing but him meat writing, literally slobbing on Sneako's knob the entire time. And this account pissed me off because the dude literally is trying to call people out for writing other people's careers. Brother, look around. Honest to God, most of these people that were just glazing Sneako online have the most brain dead takes. Because basically the entire time this beef was happening, they were tweeting 20 tweets a second calling Charlie a coward and saying that Charlie wants to cut off children's wieners. The second half of Charlie's video, by the way, just says that Sneako shouldn't have a voice on this whatsoever because Sneako has been very vocal about his support for abolishing, not even lowering, abolishing the age of consent. That's not a joke either. I'm gonna make a full dedicated video on Sneako and this topic because it is really concerning. Sneako's point of view on the age of consent is horrifying. We'll get into that later. Sneako, because of the later half of this video, calls Charlie out and says that he didn't actually talk about Chris Tyson in this video and instead used this as a way to diss Sneako. I'm not joking about that either, even though the first 10 minutes of this video is about Chris Tyson. Because it has Sneako in it, he thought that he could get some clout out of it. And unfortunately he did. And this led into probably one of the most blown out of proportion debates I've ever seen on the internet. And I'm gonna be honest with you here, this debate shows who is here for an actual conversation versus who is here to get clout and would rather backstab literally anyone and just talk massive shit on anyone on the drop of a fucking pen. Because the amount of drama commentary channels that came out of the woodworks with thumbnails that were like, "It's so over for moistCr1TiKal. Is he finally canceled?" So many retards online came out with statements like that. And I'm not joking. You can go on to half of the drama channels online right now and you will find like that all over the place. The craziest part is all of the hate for Charlie comes from one single clip out of the 2.5-hour debate, which I'm gonna be honest with you guys, the debate is really bad. The debate literally starts out with Charlie asking Sneako why he wants to abolish the age of consent.
Yeah, so let's talk about what we came to talk about.
Yeah, man. So with all of what's going on here, why are you so insistent on the age of consent being unreasonable? Or at least that's the impression I and most people gather from the way you speak about it.
And I kid you not, Sneako proceeds the entire 2.5 hours to say that he doesn't see an issue with a 10-year-old marrying a 21-year-old.
If the families have consented, the kid is mature, the kid is ready, why should I stop
at 12 years old.
At 12 years old.
If the kid if the kid is physically mature, the parents consent, both parties are
A
happy.
12-year-old being physically mature.
If that's the only line that actually makes sense.
Do you think him fucking a 17-year-old's a big deal?
No, I don't. I think it's bad. I don't think he should have sex out of wedlock.
If you right now, have you had sex with a 16-year-old as an adult, Sneeko?
No, I have not.
Okay, if you did, how do you think people would respond to it, even in your own community, if you said that you had sex with a 16-year-old?
They would be completely disgusted.
Exactly, because most people agree at a certain level needs to be established, and that level is 18.
I don't know where the this dude gets his rocks off, but clearly that is such an issue. That response right there is a issue. And I'm not joking when I say this. This is the entire debate. Half of the debate is Sneeko trying to argue about what a child is.
Even get back a little bit, do you think there's not a problem with a child being with an adult?
Okay. We haven't even agreed upon what a child and an adult is. You keep saying that it's 18.
Under 18 is child.
And I'm
over 18
telling
is
you,
adult.
that's not even the definition of the word.
And the other half is literally him just trying to justify people marrying kids. Somehow, Charlie gets in trouble for this. And look, I like Charlie. I'm not gonna meat right him. I think that he has normal dude takes. He most definitely is very centrist. But is that not a good thing? I'm sorry, he's like a normal guy. He is what 90% of the world is. But because centrism isn't allowed online, he's looked down upon because, oh, he just has takes. Like, yeah, no shit. Buddy is not chronically online. Bro is like actually just a normal human being. I'm sorry if that offends anyone. He's had some hot takes that I don't agree with. He's had some takes that I do agree with. He's just a normal fucking dude, and that's how it should be. This debate is 2.5 hours long, and all of it, Sneeko trying to defend pedophilia. I think there's a legit quote in where he says, like, it's only pedophilia because it's the law.
This is so, you see why that's such an, I don't know why I don't see the way that's such an issue. Like, Predators that Chris Hansen sat down with said the same thing.
Right,
this 13-year-old is physically mature.
But you see, this issue, in my worldview, this is eradicated. Because pedophiles, predators, they only exist in a society that allows the age of consent, that encourages people to have sex out of wedlock. In a society, in a world where you're only supposed to pursue people in search of marriage, that's eradicated. Because these people, these predators, you're saying
it's
that,
not.
yes it is.
What?
A predatory thing is you're using a girl and you're throwing her away.
Which is... the fact that we have to even go there is crazy. And before we get into the clip everyone's seen of Charlie talking out of line, I would like to let Charlie speak on this because he actually did drop a video yesterday about this topic.
It went all over the place with a ton of different things, but the big one, and this is what most people have focused on, which was my response to his question about kids transitioning. And the way he would pose that question would be by asking if I thought it was okay if kids who want to switch their gender go to the doctor and get their dick cut off. Is it okay if a 9-year-old goes to a doctor and gets their cock cut off right then and there? And when posed with that question, I replied with yes. And I've talked about this on stream many, many times now, and I'll talk about it again here. I thought he was talking in hyperbole. I thought he was just exaggerating, being over the top, talking about the entire subject of transitioning. I had no idea that any living, breathing human being actually thought that that's how transitioning works, where you just go into a doctor saying, I feel like switching genders, and they lay you down on the operating table and just snip your whole fucking meat off. I didn't know that that's what he actually believed. I didn't know he was speaking literally. I thought he was just referring to the entire process of transitioning and just using this over-the-top statement to encapsulate all of it. Because you literally cannot get that surgery unless you are 18. Like, you actually have to go out of your way to be that stupid on the topic than you would just spending a couple of seconds looking it up. There are very rare cases where someone under 18 has had that surgery performed. That's not common. So I really didn't think that someone could be so dumb on the topic. I thought he was just speaking in hyperbole, which is my mistake.
Okay. I don't want to miss this line of questions. Are you good? Can you turn the camera on and off? Oh no, you're good. You're good. Okay.
Wait. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you're good. If somebody can have, okay, do you believe that somebody can go through hormone therapy? Can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone is consenting, as you agree with.
Okay, so as long as everyone...
If your parents are okay with it and you are okay with it, I think that's totally a familial decision to make. Yeah.
Okay, so A child can cut their penis off and take hormone blockers and change their biology forever, but they can't get married?
The wildest part to me about this is that the only reason this clip even garnered any attention is because you had the Sneeko meat writers posting this 24/7 every second of the day on Twitter, and that's the only thing of the debate people saw. Up until 2 days later when everyone was like, okay, I need to see the debate, and then they realized Sneeko's just defending pedophilia the entire time. The issue with debating, and this is my opinion on all debates, right? This is for Destiny, this is for Hassan, this is for Vaush, all of them, all debate bros. For some reason, they really like arguing the age of consent because it's like, oh, well, if you can argue your position on the age of consent really good, that means you're a good debater. No, it fucking doesn't. I'm sorry, but you can argue all day about the age of consent. It doesn't make it right. The age of consent and arguing about what a child is like one of the dumbest fucking things you could possibly do. Because on one hand, you're trying to argue that it should be lowered, and on the other hand, you're trying to argue what even is a child. Both of those are really bad fucking takes. It doesn't matter if you argue your point very well on this. It only matters that you're arguing about it. The fact that you have to argue about the age of consent and what a child is in general, that's a red flag. That's a massive red flag. I'm sorry, but you should have your hard drive checked if that is the debate you are going to die on. Especially for Sneeko, because Sneeko is an avid defender of abolishing the age of consent, and yet somehow this guy still has a fucking platform. The dude thrives off of being this pseudo-intellectual, even though all of his takes are dog shit, and the only spine this dude has is the ones people put in for him. Almost all of his opinions are made by other people. Like I said, I'm gonna make a video dedicated to Sneeko. I'll show it in there. This video is more of just a rant to me because, yeah, I don't agree with the shit that Charlie said in this debate. Very clearly it was hyperbole, because the literal moment after that, Sneeko's like, so you're telling me that you think a 9-year-old should be able to cut their off? It's like, brother, no one thinks that. No one actually thinks that. Your fucking like brain rotted Twitter brain should not be in that position. This video is way more of just a rant to me, honestly. Sneeko very much pisses me off because he's this brainless freak that somehow got a platform, and I don't understand it. I don't understand why he still has people that support him in general. I'm all for free speech, right? There is a line though. There is a line. I don't think free speech should ever be used to defend pedophilia. Let's not do that. And yeah, he does have the right to say whatever he feels like. I'm not one that can take that from him. But when you start trying to argue how we should allow people to marry 10-year-olds, you're crossing a line that should not be crossed. The main reason why this pissed me off so much is because what basically happened here was people hating Chris Tyson for pedophilia, but then backing Sneeko for pedophilia. The same exact crowd did this, by the way. And it went to show the amount of bias people have towards pedophiles for some reason. Even though it should be a worldwide agreed thing that pedophilia is bad, we ended up with this argument of, well, Dr. Disrespect, even though he admitted to talking to a child, isn't actually a pedophile because he's right-wing. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Those same people only came after Chris Tyson because she is trans. The issue was never that she's a trans woman. The issue was that she was talking to kids. And same with Sneeko. The issue isn't that he's a fucking moron. The issue is he is trying to abolish the age of consent. I don't know, man. Twitter seems like it is just rotting people's brain, and I really don't understand how anyone could defend Sneeko through this debate. This debate was one of the worst things I have ever seen. And sure, Charlie didn't do a good job at defending his position, but that doesn't mean Sneeko's in the right whatsoever. Just because he did a good job defending pedophilia does not mean it was a good fucking debate. We really need to stop platforming and giving a pedestal to people who debate good. It's not a great way to show people's character. Just because you can argue that 9/11 was actually a good thing very well does not mean that it was a good thing. You could argue the most horrendous positions on the planet like a goddamn pro. It does not mean that it's a good thing. Stop platforming these idiots. Genuinely, stop it. Anyways, if you like this video, please go ahead and leave a like. Please go ahead and subscribe. Please go ahead and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I know this video is probably going to be a little more spicy than my usual ones, but it is what it is. I'm not one to shy away from my opinion. This is my channel. I really don't care. I think like this needs to be talked about, in my opinion. So shout out to my members for being the silliest geese on the planet, and thank you for all the support you guys have given me. It is amazing to see that I have people willing to support me like this. And if you want to do that too, it's only $5 a month, and for those $5 you get everything on this list that is listed, so why don't you go ahead and check that out. If you like this video, go check out my last video. Thought it was pretty good. So